What's going on? My name is Elijah Muse, and I want to welcome you here to Gifted Hands Music. So today I have a lesson for you on tritones. This is a very mysterious subject, and I know not a lot of people teach it in depth, but I just wanted to give you a short clip of one of the lessons that we have up in our community right now, all right? And this is, like I said, a lesson from the Gifted Hands Academy. If you don't know what that is, it's just a monthly membership site. You can sign up and you get exclusive lessons and resources, all geared at helping you become a better musician. This academy is for gospel musicians, jazz musicians, neo-soul musicians who are serious about improving in their craft and want some type of mentorship, some type of guidance to help them reach the goals that they want to achieve. All right. So if you want more information, just click the description down below. Click the link in the description box down below, and I will give you much more information on what the Gifted Hands Academy is all about. But you can click that down below. Other than that, though, let's jump into this video. We are talking about tritones and the amazing uses for tritones. Let's jump into it. To start off, what exactly is a tritone? A tritone is simply an interval. Simply an interval. So just like you have a perfect fifth or a perfect fourth, tritone is an interval. So let's start on C, right? C to F sharp is a tritone. All right? So that's it. You got your perfect fifth, you got your perfect fourth, and the tritone lies in between those two. It is two notes, three whole steps away from each other. So C to D is a whole step, D to E is a whole step, and E to F sharp is a whole step. So that's three whole steps away from each other. That's it. That's all a tritone is. Now it sounds very dissonant, right? It sounds very dissonant, very tense. Just keep that emotion, keep that feeling, that sound locked into your head, because that's going to be very useful for us moving forward in this lesson. If you listen to the tritone, we said tritones are dissonant, they're very tense. And anything that's dissonant in music, it tends to want to resolve. So you'll find in dominant chords, they want to resolve. Usually a dominant chord is like either a passing chord or it's the 5 of the key that you're in. Like C7 would be the 5 of F major. It wants to resolve. Why? Because that interval of the tritone interval makes me want to go somewhere. It makes me want to move. So it helps resolutions. Diminished chords, the same way. If you have a diminished chord, it acts well as a passing chord. It's a great passing chord because it's so tense, like it forces your ear to like want to hear a resolution, right? So I could go from C diminished 7 to C sharp, right? Or I could go D diminished to E flat, or E diminished 7 to F minor. Why? Because the diminished chord also has 2 tritones, so it sounds even more tense, and it wants to resolve, all right? So tritones, at the end of the day, they serve well because they're so tense. Any chord with a tritone in it usually is going to want to resolve somewhere. It's going to want to move somewhere, okay? So we got the what. We know exactly what a tritone is. We know some context of where it's used. We know it's used in dominant chords and it's used in diminished chords. And we know that tritones provide dissonance and tension to help us move from one place in the music to another. So now let's get into the functional, the practical uses for tritones. So I'm going to give you 2 main reasons or 2 main ways that you can use tritones in your playing to really get to an advanced level. So use number 1 is going to be, we use tritones to help us create rootless chord voicings, okay? Tritones are a great way, quick and like mindless way, if you memorize your tritones, to play rootless chord voicings. So how can we do that? Let's take the key of C major, right? And let's say we're playing a 2-5-1. So 2-5-1 in C major. That's 2-5-1. 2-5-1. All right, we got that. So our 2 is D minor, 5 is G7, and 1. Now let's say I wanted to play like a rootless chord voicing for the 5 chord, G7. Rootless just meaning I take out the root, which is G, and I only play like the extensions, or I play all the other notes in the chord besides the root. The extensions, 3rd, the 7th, all of that good stuff. An easy way to think about rootless chord voicings for dominant chords, this is specifically related to dominant chords, is if I have a dominant chord, I can just play the tritone in my left hand. So remember, if I'm playing G7, the tritone for G7 is the 3rd and the 7th. 3rd and the flat 7th, all right? So we have B and F. So if I wanted to play a rootless voicing for G, I could just play the tritone in my left hand, and then my right hand is free to play extensions. So this would be the 3rd and the 7th, or the 7th and the 3rd, flat 9. That's the first way. And then the second way that you can use the tritone in your playing to help get you an advanced sound is going to be by the use of tritone substitutions, okay? So what is a tritone substitution? So actually, before I explain what a tritone substitution is, let me go a little bit deeper in these tritones and the uses for it. So we already know, if I'm playing a C dominant chord, the tritone is the 3rd and the flat 7th, right? But what I didn't tell you is that this tritone for C is also a tritone for another chord, and that is F sharp. Because think about it, for C, I have the 3rd and the flat 7th, right? But if I put F sharp in the bass, the E now becomes the flat 7th of F sharp. You know what I'm saying? This E is the flat 7th, or the dominant 7th of F sharp. And the B flat becomes the 3rd, or A sharp becomes the 3rd of F sharp. All right? So this tritone, in every tritone, is a tritone for 2 different chords. This is a tritone for C and F sharp. And it just so happens that C and F sharp are also a tritone away from each other. All right? So let's look at that from one more place. Let's look at B major, okay? So if I'm looking at B dominant, the B dominant chord, my tritone for B dominant is E flat and A, right? Or D sharp and A, same thing. D sharp and A, right? That's the 3rd, D sharp is the 3rd, A is the flat 7th. What else, what other chord is this a tritone for? Well, all I have to do is go a tritone away from B. 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's also a tritone for F. So if I play the F dominant chord, this is E flat is my 7th, and the A is my 3rd. So this E flat and A is a tritone for an F chord and a B dominant chord. All right. So why is that useful? This is useful because we have this thing called a tritone substitution. And you can use this idea, tritone substitutions, for any dominant chord as well. So let's look at our 2-5-1 again. 2-5-1 for C major is D minor to G7 to C major 7. All right. So the idea of tritone substitutions just says that I can substitute my dominant chord, the 5 chord, for a dominant chord that's a tritone away. All right. So what's a tritone away from G? I just go down, 1, 2, 3. D flat or C sharp is a tritone away from G. And now why can I substitute this chord for that chord? Well, remember what we just said? My G7 chord is, or this tritone for the G7 is a tritone for 2 separate chords, right? G7 and C sharp or D flat. So because these share the same tritone, I can substitute them. They're kind of interchangeable. They're interchangeable between each other, okay? So that would be that instead of playing 2, 5, 1, I can play 2, 5, 1. Ooh, isn't that jazzy? 2, 5, 1. And how did I find that? Simply, instead of playing the dominant chord, I substituted the dominant chord that I would play.